Good morning, all. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 29th of April. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at ctmthebiggerpicture.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of a week. Right, I've been writing some posts. I'm sorry about the slightly apocalyptic tone, but at the moment it's hard to feel particularly optimistic about the way this is heading. In terms of the oil shock, which hasn't really got started yet, the history looks a bit grim. The current situation looks a bit grim. So we shall see how it goes. But in the short term, we have a potential little level top here. I did a post yesterday, and I'm going to be doing a post tomorrow, I think, but and this afternoon if I can get it out in time. But we have a we have a potential little short-term top here. We're getting some daily sell signals, but I posted charts yesterday suggesting where this might go if, for no good reason, this went significantly higher, another 2 or 3%. So we will see how that goes. But in the short term, I'm wondering about some topping action here, and on NQ. Little bit of a pullback. I'm thinking this probably has more upside to be had, but we shall see. RTY, this looks like a bull flag forming, and we last made a high a few days ago, and I'd like to see this high retested. On YM, looks like a bull flag, and I'd again like to see this high retested, or ideally to go a bit higher. I'd love to see Dyer retest the all-time high, which hasn't happened yet. But you can see RTY and YM haven't really made any progress over the last week. This has really been led by tech. In terms of DAX, looks like a bull flag forming. ESTX looks like a bull flag forming. Nikkei, possible topping action. And in terms of the daily charts, we've now got quite a few daily sell signals. Let's have a look at those. All right, let's have a look at SPX first, where we now have a full RSI 5 sell signal fixed. We've got a possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing, but we've got a full RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and it's nice. That fixed yesterday. This could be marking the end of this move up. I gotta say, I'm not loving the trend lines if that is the case, but it is a possibility. And actually, sorry, I'm just going to take a quick aside, take you through that. If you have a look at the daily chart here, the problem with where we are now is that it doesn't really give us any. I posted the trend lines I was ideally looking for yesterday, not because there was any good reason to see those trend lines made. There really isn't. Every reason to think that it wouldn't be made. But I am wondering if we stop here, that gives us here. Now that would be confirmed by a move down into support here, but obviously, in terms of giving us an indication that the top is in, it's not an awful lot to work with. In terms of the bigger picture chart, you can see that's no further help at all. In terms of the cues, and I'm looking at these two really as the leaders. So again, the short term is actually higher than the longer term resistance trend line. So if we're going to reach a level where a trend line is going to give us a high, or at least give us a good clue as to where we're close to a high level, these are the targets we would actually need to make. In terms of these short-term charts, we've not really got enough to work with here. We would need another leg up to get some decent patterns. This is another reason I'm thinking we might do that. Obviously, gravity is liable to be an issue here. There are plenty of reasons to go, not a lot of reasons in my view for the market to be going up here, and a lot of reasons for them to go down. So it may be that we're not going to make it up any higher, but it would be nice if we could, and that could give us some nice looking patterns, because I think the next decline could be impressive. I'm not kidding when I say the current period is looking to me an awful lot like the period just before the COVID shock really hit. I'm not saying we'd see as fast of a crash there. I mean, there we actually saw a huge retracement, which really just took 5 weeks. But I am saying that we could see an extended period of weakness. And I'm thinking this current high here, I was saying yesterday in my post, that any high here any all-time high here may last easily a year or two. not looking great. In terms of the Qs, this has gone a long way. This is the strongest. We didn't actually see much of a pullback, but we've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed now. In terms of the hourly chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal that's fixed, and actually that's a full size one now. Sorry, I'm just going to mark that in. Because we bounced before we got to the 50 level, so the divergence is now a full-size one and quite a nice one. When's this going to play out? Sure. I mean, I think the market rationality in terms of prices here has just left the building currently. So we will see. And we've got a big week this week. We've got FOMC. We've got a whole load of tech earnings, of which we have some of them in. We shall see. Dire. We've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fix. We would need to, if we retest the high, we might potentially get a full size one. We've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed as well. Here we had the only decent pattern from the low, which was a channel. That channel has broken down. But really, I'd be leaning towards just on the structure, a retest of the high here at 498.38. All right, let's have a look at IWM. And okay, IWM, we haven't retested the high, so we don't have any negative divergence worth to mention. I had a look at this. There's an argument you could argue that, but I mean, I really don't like the second high at all. So I'm dialing this back down to no divergence. We'll need a retest of the high if we're going to see a sell signal here, and we'd need a retest the high from here if we're going to see a sell signal on the RSI 5, because once that closes the day below 50, then that's off the clock. So we could still get an RSI 14 sell signal. In terms of the hourly chart, we've got RSI 14 sell signals reach the possible near miss target. Nothing to see on the 15-minute. On DAX, this we're coming back in. We're testing some decent support here at the 50 DMA, and we're just above the daily middle band. No current diversions, and we're not going to get any because that did close below 50 on the RSI 5, and we haven't reached the 70 level on the RSI 14 yet. In terms of the Nikkei chart, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal which has already fixed. Possible topping action. Pretty nice looking overall double top setup here. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX. Okay, DX. This could be a bear flag setting up a retest of this low. But at the moment, oil's going up, and really there is no reason for oil not to be going up. There really isn't. And nonetheless, we may see some more downside here, and we could see some more downside on the dollar. But at the moment, the dollar has been going up with oil. And that's been the case since this crisis started, and that is what we're seeing at the moment. So we could be rejecting from this double top, which broke down with a target in the 96.76 to 96.99 range, and we could be about to take off to the upside, as I was talking about in the posts about 3 weeks ago. Okay, not a lot to see on the others. USD, little 60-minute buy signal fixed. GBP USD. It's kind of like a flag. USD JPY just waiting to do that retest of 162, I think. USD CAD, we have a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed and a potential little level bottom here, so we'll see how that goes. Australian dollar, big double top potentially, and NZ, possible bull flag forming. All right, let's have a look at the those on the bigger picture charts. Now, in terms of the weak RSI 5 buy signal on the US dollar, that's reached the possible near miss target, but I'm thinking we may just reject higher here. We are back testing the daily middle band at the moment. We saw a significant intraday break through it a few days ago, and we rejected back below. That clearly is the resistance. If we get a decent break that holds over it, then I think we're probably going back to the highs, and we may well be starting another move up towards this double bottom target, which would be in the 1410 area. So we will see. In the 104.572 to 105.239 range. So I'm liking that, but we obviously need to get over the daily middle band first. In terms of the bigger picture, we're still looking at a very nice looking overall bull flag. And while it may be that there are a variety of reasons to think that the dollar won't make this retest at 114.78, but if it's going to do it, so far it looks like it's going to do it on an oil crisis, and increasingly this looks like an oil crisis of historic proportions. So that's good news for the dollar, not likely to be good news really for anything else, for a lot else, apart from obviously grains and so on. In terms of the euro, not seeing an awful lot here. We've got a double top here, not particularly high quality, which is broken down. We could be rejecting from that, but I'm thinking that sooner or later this will resume the path to the downside. GBP USD, nice looking double top, hasn't broken down yet. USD JPY, obviously we've got the big bear flags on EURUSD, bear flag set up, and GBP USD bear flag setup, which match the bull flag on USD and make it more likely, in my view, that that will deliver. In terms of USD JPY, I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of 162, as I've been mentioning on a regular basis. I don't know how much further it's going to get up, but if US dollar is going to retest that high, then it's probably going to get higher than that. Although, obviously, the amount of correlation between US dollar and USD JPY and USD does vary. So because if that wasn't the case, then we'd be going back, and when we did the high retest on US dollar, we'd be retesting the high on USD JPY, and that's obviously not going to be the case. JPY has been underperforming the dollar. Okay, in terms of weekly charts here, I mean, we've got some weekly sell signals. There's nothing I'd really take as particularly interesting in terms of in terms of patterns. USD CAD is looking interesting though. This is I've been wondering about a possible retest of this high here at 147.93. That's kind of the range high for the well, since the start of 2015, and we've got now a little double bottom here, which would set up a move to 1.48. I'm really liking that. That looks good. So I'm thinking we may well see that deliver. If that's the case, then that will get us back, sustained break back over 1.4141, will get us back up into, what would that be? Yeah, the target for this would be in the high area. So I'm liking that, and I'm thinking we may well see that deliver. We also have an RSI 5 buy signal, which is now fixed. So in terms of the longs here, this is my favorite. This is a very nice one, because this is too large to be an IHS here, but this double bottom here, it's a peach. All right, Australian dollar. We broke up over this declining resistance. I'm thinking we may well be forming a double top here. You can see that double top here, and actually that's very nice as well. No current divergence. NZ. Trying to break up from a triangle here, but if dollar is going to go up a lot, then Australian dollar is going to go down and NZ is going to go down. So we'd be looking at a move down to test the triangle support, which I've gotten about the 0.55 approximately. Or just break down from the triangle. We shall see. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence. Not really seeing a great deal. So, but basically, the bottom line is, I'm still wondering whether we're going to see this big move up on the dollar. And given how the oil crisis is going, if it continues to correlate to oil prices, then actually it probably has a considerable distance on the upside to go. All right, let's have a look at bonds. Now, bonds is drifting down here. Now, I don't know if we could still see a retest of this high, maybe set up a double top and go down. But at the moment, oil is going up. I'm thinking we could see a pullback on oil and another move up on equities. But would that be rational? No. Oil should be going up. Equities should be going down. But it's something I would like to see, and I'm thinking we might see. And I was showing an example of it doing that irrationally just before the COVID crisis in my post yesterday. So have a read of that if you haven't already. But I'm thinking this may be on the way directly down. We shall see. And this could be a bear flag, although it's a messy one. But on ZN, this looks like a bear flag, which has broken down. And while we could be topping out here, although we may already have we've got a possible head and shoulders which is already formed and is breaking down. I'm still wondering about a possible retest of this high, but one way or the other, I think this is going to be heading back to some lows. And when it gets there, it's probably going to keep going. All right, looking at TNX and TYX. TYX, we had the daily RSI 5 sell signal. I was saying that was played out and likely played out and should be ignored. That's now crystallized. That reached the possible near miss target because we got back to the 70 level. And we're getting pretty close to a retest of this high here at 49.99. So that would be a retest of the 26, the 2026 high on 30-year bond yields. After that, I'm expecting to see a retest of 51.53. On the bigger picture, is this an IHS forming? Yeah, it's not perfect, but it kind of looks like one. And also, the other thing is, given that the oil shock looks as though it's going to take prices up a lot. I was reading something the other day. I've been doing a lot of reading about this crisis because this is economically extremely interesting. But I was looking at that the other day, and something the other day when it was suggesting that if oil prices hit 200, which I'm thinking is a very, very real possibility, then that would probably send US inflation up to 7%. Is that a situation where we could see bond yields go up to 9% on the 30-year treasuries and 10-year treasuries? Yes. And we will see. Does it matter if the Fed chair doesn't want that to happen? No. Not if the bond market decides otherwise. This is all mainly decided about between supply and demand. That's what bond yields are about. And that's why bond yields have stayed high, even though the Fed's already cut rates several times, because actually the Fed doesn't control bond yields, and it never did. So, I mean, there are things it can do to do it. I mean, for instance, if there's weak demand in bonds, which I'm thinking may well be coming, the auctions have been getting weaker. People are getting more reluctant to hold them, especially as the US debt is skying up, and occasional demented ideas come out of the administration, like forcing US allies to just buy 100-year bonds with zero coupons, basically just taking all of their US Treasury holdings and nationalizing them in the US. One, these would be seen as default. Two, they would make everyone very dubious about holding US debt, and actually an awful lot of US debt is held by foreigners. The US Fed, the most credible thing it could do, which could really hold yields down, would actually just be for the Fed to buy large amounts of treasuries themselves. But at that stage, you're just basically moving on to a stage where you're really, in effect, just printing vast amounts of money. Would that be good for inflation? It's hard to see how. All right, looking at TNX. TNX, the RSI 5 sell signal had made the full target on TLT. The buy signal made the full target. So we're basically out of all those signals which were bullish for bonds, and we are at the moment returning back to the lows on TLT and returning back to the highs on TNX. Bigger picture, obviously we are still looking at a load of triangles. This is a rising wedge on TYX, but you can see the next obvious target is up here, and that would be slightly above that 51.53 target I was talking about as the next big one. In terms of TNX, this is a very nice looking triangle. It's a peach. Next obvious target would be slightly above 46. Let's have a quick closer look at that. I've got that in about the 46.2 area, probably. All right, in terms of FYX, we got another triangle. Not quite as nice as the others, but pretty decent. Next obvious target would be up here. This is the 5-year yield, of course. And this next target would be up here in about the 42.4 area. And TLT, actually, that's also a triangle. And this one would be a bearish triangle. All the others are bullish. And we could head up and reach this triangle resistance before it broke down, but actually there is no need. Just have a quick look at the count. B, A, B, C, D. This would be, I mean, ideally D would come up and hit the trend line, but to be honest, that would be a nice classical triangle. Much as I love nice classical triangles and would like all triangles to be nice classical triangles, they're not actually nice classical triangles all the time, and it may be that we are not going to hit resistance on it. Let me just try something. Bear with me a moment. Hang on 1 second. Just seen something which I'd like to have a look at. Doesn't work because that All right, I was just wondering whether or not we would have a classical triangle if I took it from this little low here, but the answer is no. And the reason is that this candle goes up to where this line is now, and it doesn't work with that line. Okay, I'm sorry, I was just wondering if we might have a good classical triangle there, but I'm not really looking at the others. I'm not really expecting this to head up, and bonds have been going down when oil has been going up. And as I said, there's not an awful lot of reason for oil not to be going up. In terms of the hourly charts, not an awful lot to see, but really, I think the bullish setup for bonds is done, and the obvious direction for bonds now is down. All right, let's have a look at. Bear with me a moment. All right, let's have a look at oil. Okay. On this contract, this is now at a new crisis high on oil. We've got on Brent crude, we've got a 60-minute sell signal fix. Might deliver something, might not. But this has been a very nice move up. This was that Friday decline when peace had been declared and Trump was talking about, the Iranians had agreed to everything, which appears to have been complete fantasy. Since then, that was a big decline on the day. That was a very big decline. That was a decline of 12%, 13%. That has been more than given back in spades. We've gone up from 83.50 to 107.5. This is what you'd expect to happen, really. In terms of CL, CL has got back up to this high here and is heading steadily back towards, and is pretty close to the high here in early March. So now this isn't quite as high as the headline number was on the front contract then, but it's heading back there. In terms of, I'm thinking on coil and CL, if nothing changes radically, then I'd be expecting these to both go to at least 150 and very probably over 200. So am I thinking that we might see some downside here? I don't know. I mean, I think Trump might declare that deal is close again, and maybe that could do it. But I mean, the fact is he's done that so many times that I'm wondering whether he's got any credibility left. Mind you, I was already wondering that when this happened. So, we shall see. All right, HO is heading back to the highs. RBOB is already at the highs and beyond them. So this is very much a new crisis high here. 60-minute sell signals fixed there, not delivering a lot so far. NG, I'm wondering about this potentially delivering a sizable rally. We will see. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts too, and on Brent. The RSI 5 sell signals, which are the ones I'm mainly watching, have made target. The RSI 14 ones, of which we have a couple, aren't so important, but I'll be keeping an eye on. We've now yesterday made a new crisis high on the spot price on ICE, and actually, honestly, I don't think this is fully stating the situation. I think it's really likely higher than that. In terms of the bigger picture, I've got a target here, a flag target at a retest of 134.91. Really, we should be there now. But I'm really expecting the absolute maximum to hit that within a month, and then probably to the all-time high at 147.50. In terms of oil, WTIC, West Texas Intermediate. We have not made so much progress to the upside, but I think it's heading there. We got a flag target at 126.42. I've actually got an old extension double bottom target from a few years ago, which on this scale chart actually isn't a very long time, which actually takes us back to the all-time high at 147.27. Really, that's 147.27 is at the lower end of what I'm expecting to happen with oil, given the overall situation. Not a lot to see on the daily charts here. We have on heating oil, we've already made the target at the retest of the 2022 high, which was already the all-time high. So that was a new all-time high. We're not back over that yet, but I'm thinking, not seeing any reason we wouldn't go there. We've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed here, but the RSI 5 one, which is the one I was mainly watching, has already made target. We obviously are well short of the high here. Not quite sure why that is, but chances are this will just go up with the others. In terms of gas oil is making progress towards the flag target. That flag target is at 412, which is the all-time high. We made it back up to 365 earlier, sorry, on yesterday, so I'm expecting this to go higher, and I'm expecting it to make that target. How high could gas go for consumers in the US? Honestly, I'm wondering about prices at $10 a gallon. I think that's potentially doable. The crisis. The problem is the crisis is showing no sign of ending. There might be enough damage that's already been done to actually send oil prices up to 200 and beyond. Every day that the Strait of Hormuz stays closed just makes the situation worse. But to be honest, if it opened tomorrow, we might still see oil prices at 200, just because so much has been taken out of the system. And furthermore, some capacity has been taken out of the system as well, because there have been damaged refineries, not just on natural gas, on oil as well in Saudi, which will take at minimum months to repair. So enough damage has been done, very possibly to send oil prices up to 200 already. Gas, oil would follow. All right, looking at the daily chart, not a lot to see at the moment. No negative divergence apart from the weak RSI 14 sell signal. But as I said, mainly I've been looking at the RSI 5s, and we had one there, and it made the possible near miss target. Looking at natural gas, bigger picture. What am I thinking here? I'm thinking the double top here is likely rejecting, and we're heading back into a retest of the low here at 1.54. This has not been affected by the Strait of Hormuz. And at the moment, there's no reason I can see why it would be. In terms of the short term, we don't have a positive divergence here. We've broken the support trend line, and I am wondering about a potential double bottom here. We shall see how that goes. But I'm thinking we've seen a hell of a move down here, because this was at 5.65 at the start of 26, and we're now down at considerably less than half of that. We've not seen a really big rally here. We've had one from 278 to 329. I'm thinking we might see a more substantial one soon, and we've got a setup for a potential small one here. Whether that'll play out, we shall see. No current positive divergence on the daily chart, I would note. All right, let's have a look at metals. Looking at GC. GC, we've got a double top here, which is broken down with a target in the 43.30 to 43.60 area. What I would say, though, is all of these sell signals here that I was talking about a few weeks ago, talking about a retracement that could potentially take us back into a retest of this low, all of those sell signals have at least made the possible near miss target now. There are none that haven't. Okay, I'm wondering about SI, but I'm pretty sure I checked that this morning and it hadn't. So I'm thinking we could turn back up at any time. Oil prices are going to go up. At the moment, that's meant that gold prices go down. And silver goes down, the other metals go down. But I am thinking on the bigger picture, there's no reason for that to be the case. And really, in terms of a flight to safety, honestly, gold looks a lot better bet than the dollar on the bigger picture. So I'm thinking we could reverse back up, but at the moment, we are still seeing this thing of oil goes up and gold goes down. And as long as that continues, and the fact that oil is likely to very possibly double over the next few weeks, is not looking great for gold prices. So I would like to see that link broken. In terms of SI, this might be a bear flag breaking down, but see, this kind of looks like a little bull flag setting up a retest this high. I'm thinking that the uptrend could resume here, but we will see. We've got a 60-minute buy signal that's fixed here and has delivered nothing so far. Palladium, this could be a very, very messy low quality bear flag forming. We've got a decent looking one on platinum here, which is already broken down. Again, this kind of looks like a bull flag setting up a retest this high. Honestly, my feeling is that over the next few weeks, precious metals shouldn't do too badly. But we do need to see the correlation between rising oil prices and dropping precious metals stop. HG, we've got a little level top that's broken down here. We've got a target in the 5.78 area, and I'm thinking that may deliver. I'm thinking this may, however, still be a bullish consolidation setting up a retest of this high. But as soon as the oil crisis starts to grip, really, I don't see how that's going to be positive for copper prices. Copper requires a level of buying into fantasy to think it's going to go up a lot from here. We do have an obvious high retest target. We don't have much of an economic case, in my opinion. All right, let's have a look at gold. Gold, we had an RSI 5 sell signal on the daily, and it made target. Silver, we had an RSI 5 sell signal on the daily, and that made target. Platinum, we had an RSI 5 sell signal on the daily, that made target too. Copper, we had an RSI 5 sell signal on the daily. Not a precious metal, I know, but nonetheless we did, and that's reached the possible near miss target. GDX, we had a RSI 5 sell signal on the daily, that made target too. And sorry, it's on GDXJ, that was on the weekly chart, of course, and we had one on the daily, and that also made target. Basically, all of the daily sell signals I was talking about this very potentially taking precious metals down considerably, all of them have made target. Now, in terms of gold, this is a beautiful bull flag channel, and I'm not seeing any rational reason why this shouldn't play out. So I'm leaning towards it playing out. So the thing is, if we go down with oil, I'm not expecting that to last. I'm not expecting it to take precious metals down in a big way. And while we might see gold go down in liquidation scenarios where people are losing a lot of money and have to liquidate everything to settle up, I'm expecting that if we see a big crisis here, and I'm struggling for reasons to think that we're not going to see a big crisis here at this stage. If we see a big crisis here, then it's hard to see that metals shouldn't do okay. Silver, this again is a decent looking bull flag and it's broken up. We could see a retest this low. We could see one on gold too, but at the moment there's no indication really of that happening. But it could happen anyway. If it gets dragged down by oil going up, we'll see. In terms of palladium, leaning long overall, platinum leaning long overall, but again, I'm wondering about a possible retest of the low. We shall see. Copper, I'd love to see the high retest of 6.583. Is that credible? Well, really, if equities are going up, which frankly there's absolutely no reason for at this stage, absolutely none, then I don't see why copper can't go up as well on the same unrealistic expectations. But I'm thinking we've probably got a maximum of 2 or 3 weeks before reality bites, and it's going to bite hard. And when that happens, I'm expecting equities to go down, and I'm expecting copper to go down. So we've got a window here where we could see some work to the upside and possibly retest this high, but it's probably not going to be a big window. In terms of GDX, we've still got open weekly sell signals on the RSI 14. I'm not paying much attention to those, but possibly incorrectly. We had a buy signal on the RSI 14 on the hourly chart on GDX, and that failed. And we had another one on GDXJ, and that failed too, which was interesting. So we shall see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other commodities. Okay, KC. All right, KC. We've got the 60-minute sell signals reached the possible near miss target. Overall, this still looks like a bear flag for me. Sugar, I've been talking about the possible IHS, which has been, I think I mentioned this on Sunday, but I've been talking about it on the pre-market videos. We've got an IHS which is now formed and broken up with a target in the 1520 area. I'm quite liking that target, so we'll have a look at that on the daily. On CC, this still looks like what it is, which is a perfect bear flag channel. Sooner or later, I'm expecting to come back and retest this low. In terms of CT, we are pulling back a bit, and but I'm thinking likely to resume the uptrend. I wrote a post last week which was very bullish on the prospects for cotton, wheat, corn, and soy, and cotton was the first one to break up. Lumber, I was saying this may well just resume the downtrend, and at the moment we're just resuming the downtrend, and the 60-minute buy signal has failed. On wheat, wheat has now broken up. This is the second one of my 4 to break up now. We've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing. We might see a bit of a retracement, but on the bigger picture, we've now broken up from the double bottom, so I'm really liking that. Corn, we're still waiting, but it's making decent progress to the upside, and obviously this nice looking potential bear flag is dead and buried. So I don't have any good. I could draw an IHS here, but I'm still looking at examples of this. But in my view, it should be invalidated by this low here, which is lower than the right shoulder low. I'm not sure that's true. If this is an IHS, then this would have a target at about the 483 area. This is something where I'm watching a number of examples, and I'll have a much better opinion in a couple of years. But I'm at the moment, I've always treated that as not being an inverted head and shoulders, and that continues to be the case. But some people might disagree. On soy, I think this is an IHS right shoulder forming. We haven't started breaking to the upside seriously yet, but I think we're going to. An awful lot of crops did not get planted after the Strait of Hormuz was closed because the price of urea went through the roof. Supplies became short. That's going to have a knock-on effect over the next few months. It might take a few months, but it's going to have an effect. And I'm expecting it to spike the price. All of these, cotton, wheat, corn, soy, all of these use large amounts of urea. And I'm hearing reports on wheat, on corn, on soy particularly, that large amounts of crops weren't planted. And you know what? When they're not planted, they're not reaped either. So if you don't put it in the ground and grow it, then it doesn't come out afterwards. So this is going to have an impact on price, and it could actually have a pretty serious impact on world hunger. So, but we'll see how this plays over the next few months. In terms of a commodities point of view, these are all looking pretty bullish. ZL has gone higher and is continuing to go higher at the moment. I think that should head with soy. This is soybean oil, of course. On live cattle, I was saying that we may well go back and retest the high, and at that point, we would have a potential level top here, or we might see a just continuation higher, which honestly would be my lean, and it's continuing higher. HE could be bottoming out here, which is good, because if this is a bull flag, and it's not a great bull flag, I don't think. Hang on 1 second. No, it's not. It's never going to be a great bull flag. But if this is a bull flag, and I think this is probably a bullish consolidation, then really this is about as low as I would like to see it go. It's the 61.8% retracement of the prior move. So I would like to see it stop there and go back up. And at the moment, it's stopped there, and it may well be bottoming out. In terms of let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And Coffee, we've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed here, and it's reached the possible near miss target. I'm thinking this was originally an IHS which broke up with the target in about the 332 area, but this is looking more like a bear flag now. Could we see another high within that bear flag? Yes. Could that make the IHS target? Yes. Could we just fail lower directly? Yes. So we shall see. This could be a bull flag channel, which would be up here, or it could be a wedge, or it could be a triangle. Whichever way it is, at the moment it looks like bearish consolidation. In terms of sugar, we're seeing a bit of a rally here. We've got an obvious target above if we at the monthly middle band in about the 17.25 area if we're going to continue higher. We've got a nice looking falling wedge here, and in the short term, we had a daily RSI 5 buy signal that's now made target, but I'm quite liking this little IHS. Doesn't have to make target, but overall, I'm thinking we could see a decent rally at this point, and we'll see. Don't know if urea is used in the making of sugar. I don't think it is, although it could be used in the making of sugar beet. But I'm not reading about much in the way of reasons for sugar to go up at the moment. Cocoa, we've been seeing a bit of a rally after a major decline. We had a huge move up here to highs that had really not been seen ever by a long margin, and then we've seen a move down, which has basically taken us back to the long-term means. So we've been seeing a bit of a rally here. This could be a dead cat rally. This kind of looks like a bear flag forming, and it very much looks like a bear flag on the hourly chart. We will see. Looking at cotton, we've broken up from the double bottom with a target in the 88.64 to 89.13 area. No reason to think this is going to go. This is going to fail. I think this is just a bullish consolidation. No negative divergence here. Looking at lumber, I'm thinking sooner or later, we're going to resume the downtrend. We've got a double top target and a flag target, though the flag has not yet broken down. And both basically a retest this low here at 352.50. I'm expecting to see that target made. In due course, we've obviously been a while doing it. This flag has now been forming and hasn't broken down yet for almost 3.5 years. On wheat, wheat has now broken up from the double bottom, so we've now got a target in the 739 to 742 area. That is progress. That is the second of my four to break up. No divergence on the daily chart. The RSI 14 sell signal is on the verge of failing, but hasn't quite failed yet. In terms of corn, we haven't broken up from the double bottom resistance yet, but I'm thinking we're probably going to. At the moment, we're heading back up into this high in the 470 area, but obviously it needs some more work to get to the upside. In terms of soybeans, I think an IHS right shoulder is forming. That could break up at any time. That hasn't broken up yet and is not really making tracks back to the neckline yet. So we shall see. All right, great. Sorry. Let's have a look at crypto. All right, looking at crypto, we've got on Bitcoin, we've got a bear flag. On Solana, we got these all look like bearish consolidations. They all should deliver retests to the low. In terms of the daily RSI 5 sell signal here, it's still ongoing. The one on Ethereum is still ongoing. These haven't made target yet. These haven't reached the possible near miss targets yet. And I'm thinking these may be the trigger to start heading down and towards the lows. All of these look like bullish consolidations. Bitcoin, I'm expecting it to go back and retest this low here at 60.1K. On Solana, I'm expecting it to go back and retest this low here at 67.65. On Ethereum, I'm expecting it to go back and retest this low here at 1746.93. We are still waiting for that, and we're probably still going to be waiting for that until equities turn. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys again on Sunday. Cheers.